Welcome back, Devils fans, to a long-awaited episode of Devils Down Under. It's been a while again. We apologize for that. It's been
so sorry.
Been a little crazy lately. The holidays are around the corner, and it is it's just a lot this time of year.
I am doing 3 people's jobs at work at the moment, and it has been a lot. So even though last episode we said we'd be back on track, we tried to record, and it just didn't happen. And then the timing didn't work because we had kind of not a whole lot of games this last couple of weeks either. So we kind of went, it doesn't make sense to record today because we haven't played any games, kind of thing. So, but
Devils
we're back.
Devils have had a little bit of a weird schedule this year. They've had they've got weird back-to-backs, and they've got these weird stretches where they've got like 3-4 days between games. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of the Devils schedule this year.
No, I've seen a lot of people talking about scheduling because there's a couple of teams that have played like 4 games less than every other team in the league, kind of thing. It's very strange.
Yeah, there's somebody who has played. I think on the low end it's like 21 games played or 22 games played,
I think.
And then on the high end it's probably, if it's not 30, it's like 29.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's quite a gap between the teams that have played the fewest and the teams that have played the most. So far. It's very weird.
Just means we're down to have a very busy next couple of months for the rest of the season, you know?
Yeah, well, we're gonna need the games because we're gonna need all the points we can to catch up because it has continued to be a very rough ride for the Devils, and we will get into all of that, the good, the bad, the ugly, in just a moment, but we have some house cleaning to take care of, and the first of which being, I want to say last week's Guess That Devil, but it was like 3 weeks ago.
Last episode's Guess That Devil.
So everyone's going to need the reminder, so go ahead and remind us what last episode's clue was.
Absolutely, and I hope I tweeted this. I think I tweeted it, because I seem to remember thinking I tweeted on a strange day, because we recorded on a strange day. Yeah. But it's been a while, and it's probably lost to our Twitter. But the clue for this one was that this Devil was drafted 24th overall by the New Jersey Devils in 1985, played 4 seasons with the Devils before requesting a trade. He was dubbed a rookie sensation, playing a major role in helping the Devils to make it to the 1988 conference finals, and was the first Devil to appear on the cover of the Hockey Digest.
Yeah, so I was wrong. I thought I knew. I was very. I remember. I didn't go back and listen to our last episode or anything, but I do remember being very confident in this at first, and then when I started thinking about it, I was pretty sure that the person that I was thinking of wasn't drafted for like another 4 or 5 seasans. So I'm like, I don't think it's them, and I don't even think they played the right position. I think I was thinking of someone totally off position. So, I don't know you got me on this one, first of all. I don't think I actually know who this is. I think I have a vague idea of maybe what position they played, but the name is completely escaping me. So I'm going to say I think it's a goalie.
Yeah.
Because I seem to remember that we drafted a goalie that year in the first round. But for the life of me, I'm a terrible Devils fan. I cannot remember who that was. So my answer is mystery goalie number 1.
Well, I don't know what number he had, but it's Sean Burke.
Oh, Sean Burke, yes.
Okay,
yep.
But you were right, it was a goalie, and you could probably tell by the way I worded it. I was trying to be a little bit more cryptic about the stats and things, because, like, obviously you can't really say, this goalie didn't have many points, because this person didn't have many points, because obviously goalies are unlikely to have many points at all.
This goalie had 0 points in 130 games played for the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, you'd be like, okay, well, clearly, if you didn't say goalie, well, clearly this isn't a forward. Because that would be... Yeah, so it's Sean Burke. In his rookie season, he was the goalie that got the overtime victory that qualified the Devils for their first Stanley Cup playoff series. We ended up... Sorry,
go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to finish. We ended up trading him to Hartford, in the Hartford Whalers, in return for Bobby Holik.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
He didn't get his first Stanley Cup until... sorry. I'm trying to read my sentence because I wrote this a while back. He didn't get his first Stanley Cup until last season, which he got as the director of goaltending for Vegas. So he didn't get a Stanley Cup as a player. He got it as a director of goaltending.
I forgot that he was in the Vegas organization. Is he still there?
I don't know if he's there this season, but last season he was. So
okay, that's
maybe he
interesting.
Probably is if they won last season. Then
to be completely honest, I didn't know that he was still in the league in any capacity. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's
all right.
Guess that devil. I don't think anyone tweeted a response to that one, but yeah.
I wouldn't know, but I'll take your word for it. You got me this week.
I did. I've another red.
After I was confident. See, kids, this is why you don't ever get too confident in yourself, because you can always be humbled
12.
at the end of the day.
I think I've beat you twice out of the 12 that we've had so far.
Yeah, I think that's the second time. First time was only a few weeks in, and I've been on a little bit of a hot streak lately, but that's been snapped. Just like the Devils finally, what we thought anyway, had snapped out of their ways after they had started a little 3-game win streak in between our last episode and today.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's get into, I guess, just quickly kind of the win-loss record between our last episode and this.
Mm-hmm.
So in that time span, the Devils have played, 7 games. And they are 4-3 in those games. So, okay, a winning record, but still
Barely. Not
great. Yep. And but I guess the silver lining to take out of that is they are 4-1 in their last 5. So, and if it wasn't for that dreadful loss to the Sharks, the Devils could be looking at a 5-game winning streak. But alas, we will get to that game, unfortunately, here in a few minutes. But in that time span, it was a 4-0 shutout loss to Detroit, which I believe was the first time the Devils have been shut out. I don't remember the exact number. It was like 113 games or something like that. It's been over a year. That. Yeah. Brutal game. I thought that there was just no energy from the Devils in that game.
Yeah.
Really, really frustrating. But then they followed that up with a 2-1 loss to Columbus that they probably... I felt that they deserved to win that game, but Devils just got goalied. We got out-goalied in that game, which was a shame because that was one of the few games that we've had during the stretch where the goaltending wasn't horrible. So it really sucks to lose a game like that when the Devils are giving up. God, it feels like basically 4 goals a game at minimum. To lose a game where you only give up 2, one of the rare times you give up 2 is that's a hard loss, especially to Columbus, who is like bottom 3 in the league at the moment.
Yeah.
So, or bottom 4 in the league. I don't remember exactly where they stand. I know they're in lottery contention. So, yeah, tough loss. But then they followed up with what I called an angry win, a 7-2 win over the Buffalo Sabres. Again, the goaltending looked pretty good. The defense looked better, and the offense was everything that we know that this team can perform at. On the offensive side of the puck. So a great win. They followed that up with a 5-4 win against the Islanders. If I remember correctly, the Devils had a... was this a game that the Devils blew a lead in? Were they up like 4-2 in this or something? If I remember right. God, it's been these games feel like they've been like months ago now.
Yeah, it feels like so long ago. No,
that was the game we came back. We came down.
It was a
from.
game
They
that
were
we
down.
came back. Yeah.
Yeah, they were down 3-2, and then they scored 3 unassisted or not unassisted, unanswered goals in the third.
Yes.
And went on to win that game 5-4. So yeah, Devils win against the Islanders 5-4. They turn around and win 4-3 against Philly in overtime. That was a game that they had in hand late and gave up a tying goal with, what was it, like 3.5 minutes left or something like that.
It was really disappointing.
Yeah, especially to a division rival who, sadly, at the current state of the division, the Devils are kind of competing for a playoff spot with, which, God, if you had told us that 3 months ago, we would have been horrified.
Yeah.
So it's tough to kind of give away the free point to Philly, but I'm still kind of optimistic that Philly's going to kind of fall off here in the second half of the season and not really be in true contention for a wild card spot at the end of the year.
Yeah. We've also been plagued with injuries still throughout these last few games. This last game with the Canucks, we finally have our main squad back except for Hamilton, who will be out indefinitely. We'll talk about that later. But granted, some of these games we were still playing without Hischier, and some of them we still had no Haula as well.
Haula. I feel like with Haula, they've been kind of babying him a little bit. I don't mean that in a bad way, by the way. I just mean he's been given a lot of like off days, and like when the Devils aren't playing, or he's like skip practices and stuff like that. And I don't know. I just it's obvious that he's got something that's like been nagging.
Too busy making babies.
Kind of
he's got a baby on the way.
Yeah. He's too injured to play, but he's not too injured to make babies. But yeah, it's pretty clear that he's been dealing with some nagging injuries, and they've been kind of trying to nurture that along the way with scheduled off days or maintenance days, as they call them, and stuff like that. So, the injuries, and we'll talk more about the injuries here in a minute, but the injuries have definitely not helped and definitely have contributed considerably to where the Devils currently are. So, so the Devils get the win in overtime against Philly. Thankfully, they do finish off the game, despite the fact that they give away the first point. And this is the first game that I kind of wanted to actually talk a little bit more in depth about, because there was a couple of things that came out of this game that alarmed me and, quite frankly, kind of pissed me off at times. This was an extremely sloppy game from the Devils in the sense that they took way too many penalties. I think they take 6 penalties in this game, I think. And even against a team like Philly, who is not, you don't expect them to be putting up 4, 5, 6 goals every single night. You still can't take that many penalties. They gave up, that was the Islanders game. Sorry.
Yeah, 6 penalties. And to be fair, Philly also had some penalties.
It was definitely sloppy from both sides in that regard. Yeah. But the Devils can't play to their competition when it comes to that,
Especially with the level that our penalty kill is at the moment. I would like to go and see the stats to how many of the goals scored against us have been scored on the opposition's power play on our penalty kill.
Our 5 on... Go ahead, sorry.
Our 5-on-5 hasn't necessarily been great, but it's gotten a bit better, maybe?
It's been better lately. It's definitely been better.
But our 5-on-4, like when we're on the penalty kill, has not been good, and that is where a lot of goals are getting scored against us. And if we could not have those goals, we might be having more of a winning record than we're seeing. I
mean, we're sitting at the bottom end of the middle of the pack of the league. Going into last night's game, we were at 75%, and I think the Devils were. I think they were 3 for 4 on the penalty kill. So it should stay at 75%, which is not great. I mean, at minimum, you want a penalty kill at least above 80. The Devils last year, I think we're at 84, 83, 84, something like that. I mean, it was good.
Decent.
It was top 10 in the league. Now, granted, again, losing Severson and Graves, obviously, I think has played a fairly decent role in the growing pains that we're going through this year. But still, I mean, if you're going to be serious about winning a cup and making a push in the playoffs, your penalty kill can't be in the low to mid 70s.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to get killed in the playoffs, especially. Imagine. It doesn't look like it's going to happen now, but imagine if a lot of people's cup prediction came true, and it was Devils and Oilers in the finals. And imagine going up against that Oilers offense with a penalty kill in the 70s.
It doesn't look like that for either of the teams.
No, that's what I mean. It doesn't look like that's going to happen on either side at this point. But thankfully, Edmonton is in a much worse spot than we are, believe it or not.
I know. So strange to think like that.
Yeah. But anyway, so way too many penalties. And this has been kind of a theme on and off all season. The sloppy penalties, too many of them. I've never been one of those guys that's like, you should go every game never taking a penalty. I do think that there's a time and a place. Like on a breakaway, you take a slash and it prevents them from scoring, or I should say on a partial breakaway, if it's not going to lead to a penalty shot, those are probably penalties that, especially in a close game, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit more understandable. I even kind of understood Smith's slash that he took that ended up getting him suspended, where he basically baseball swung his stick. Well, that was, but that's still, you can't, like, I understand the emotional side of that, so, like, but you still can't do that. And thankfully, Smith is not exactly someone that it's going to kill us to miss a few games from. But, sloppiness abound. This was also a scary game. You mentioned injuries earlier.
Yeah.
And this was a game that with Nico fresh off of his, concussion, what we assume was a concussion, and the team already defensively kind of, shaky at best at this stage. Both Nico and Luke had really close calls in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Nico had one on a really awkward play in front of the net where it was on a goal. And right as the goal was scored, he was shoved down to the ice in the crease.
Yeah.
And he kind of like went like face planted. Like he just went face first right onto the ice because he didn't look like he didn't really have time to react and protect himself with his hands.
Yeah.
And that scared me. I thought in the moment, I said, oh no, I said, please don't tell me he just whacked his head again really bad. Like that's like the worst thing that could have possibly happened.
I think he was immediately taken back as well, and I think they said he went down the tunnel, and I think he was probably checked again by the concussion staff.
I think he was. I think he missed at least one shift. I can't remember exactly how long he missed, but I know you're right. He did go down the tunnel, and he was off the bench for a little while.
Yeah.
So he would come back into the game, thankfully, and he seems to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Luke had an almost just as scary situation. The only reason I would say Nico's is scarier is because head injuries always scare me more.
Mm-hmm.
But and this is the one. This is the one that really really pissed me off. Luke was skating in to the opposite zone, trying to beat out an icing, and he was competing with the defender, and the whistle should have been blown. One way or the other. Now, I will say that Luke needs to learn that he can't rely on the whistle.
Mm-hmm.
And he needs to maybe be a little bit smarter in that situation and let up and not go, full speed into the boards like he was.
He also needs to play to the whistle and not stop in expecting the whistle to be blown, because
that too, yeah.
That's what happened there.
And he, but anyway, the whistle was not blown, or was not blown promptly, I should say, and it led to a really scary situation where Luke got checked, and went shoulder / kind of front chest first right into the boards, and it was very eerily similar to one of take your pick at either of Jack's injuries, shoulder injuries. Except Luke's actually, I thought, looked worse than Jack's second.
Yeah.
I don't know about his first, but his second. I thought Luke's
He was
worse
clutching his, cradling his arm, and I was like, oh god, he's dislocated his arm, he's broken his shoulder, something has happened there.
That's what I thought. I thought it was a dislocated or a separated shoulder. With the way that that he was laboring his arm, and it kind of looked like it was almost hanging there like you would expect out of a dislocated or a separated shoulder.
Yeah.
I said, oh, but here we go again. It's the Hughes brothers and the shoulder injuries, man. Like, and he missed a little bit of time. He went down the tunnel. But then he came back to start. Was it the third period? I believe
so.
I think the injury happened in the second period, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, he came out and he played the following period, and I couldn't believe it. My morale at going into that third period was basically in the shitter would probably be not be doing it justice. I was miserable at this particular stage. I was like, man, this is like just fucking wrap the season up in bubble wrap. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I was not having a good time. So I was very surprised to see him go back out there. Pleasantly surprised. And also worried. I think I even said to you, I said, oh, please don't tell me this is another situation where they let him go back out there and then something happens and he plays 2 shifts and he takes a hit and then he's off the ice again. But he seems okay. He's been playing great since then and leading up to then, so.
He played great at the end of that game.
Yeah, he did.
Not so much in the third period. The Devils didn't do so well in that third period because obviously Philly ended up tying it, and then we had to go to overtime. But Luke was the one that scored the overtime goal.
Well, Devils were also dealing with a Carter Hart that had really settled down after, at that point in the game too. So, but yeah, Luke would get his revenge, so to speak. It wasn't a dirty hit, so like I hesitate to use that word, but hey, whatever. And what was it? 28 seconds? Is that what you said? Yeah, 20. I know it was very early in the overtime.
Yeah.
Philadelphia won the face-off, and they had possession, and they basically just lost possession of the puck on a misplay, and then the Devils ended it there. So this team, the way it's constructed, is very lethal in the 3-on-3 overtime. So I'm still confident going into overtime into games this year, despite the fact that the goaltending is complete ass. Because as long as we can gain possession of the puck, we have a pretty good shot of winning, I feel like. So, yeah, it was good to see Luke come back, and not only that, but go out there and win it for us in overtime. So, crisis averted with both Nico and Luke in that game.
Yeah. And then was the San Jose game.
I don't even know if I want to talk about this game.
I know. We don't really want to go into it too much, but, it was one of those games where you go, okay, well, we're going up against San Jose, that bottom of the league, pretty much, so...
They had been playing better coming into this game, though. So
they had been playing better, and we weren't going into it going, yeah, we're definitely going to win this game. That would be
I said to you, this is a trap game. I said, we're going to lose this game.
They hadn't won on the road. San Jose hadn't won a single game on the road. They hadn't.
No, they were like 0-10.
They hadn't let in more than a single goal on the road either. And then they ended up getting 6 on us.
No, they had scored on the road.
They had scored. They just hadn't scored more than 1 goal each game on the road, was what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I think they had basically just as many goals, if not 1 goal more. I can't remember if they came into this game with 5 or 6 goals on the road, but I'm pretty sure at worst, San Jose scored as many goals in this game as they had all season on the road. Yeah, which is just crazy. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what the shots were in this game? Because the Devils lose this 6-3, so you would think, oh man, they must have really gotten outplayed.
Yeah. You'd think that. But actually, we had more shots. We had 47 shots on goal. They had 18. They scored 1 in every 3 shots they had on goal.
66.6666, repeating 6 save percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much just sums the game up, to be honest.
And you can't blame penalties because we didn't take any penalties.
That's the crazy part. Devils played a clean game, other than they did have quite a few miscues that led to high danger chances for San Jose. Now, if that's not frustrating enough, the goaltending has been bad. So you expect that to happen sometimes, right? Even the best defensive teams make mistakes in front of the net and lead and give up, high danger chances, at least once a game usually. It's very rare that a team comes out of a game not having given up a single high danger chance. But ideally your goalie's going to get at least the majority of them. Our goaltending got none of them. None. San Jose in this game had 6 high danger chances in this game. And how many goals did they have?
6.
Oh, I'm sorry. They actually capitalized on 5 of 6 because one of those goals was an empty netter.
Yes.
Okay, so I amend my statement. All but one they scored on. That's goaltending, folks. I know the defense has not been great, although I do think that there have been parts of it that have been better, especially since Nemec has been up, and we'll get to him here in a few minutes because I've got a lot of good things to say about him. But I believe that as of yesterday's win, the Devils now have the cumulative worst save percentage in the league. The worst cumulative save percentage in the league. I think it's at like 860 something. The Devils are not going to make the playoffs with that kind of goaltending. It's not going to happen.
Even if we somehow made it, we would not get anywhere. We would lose all the games.
It'd be Edmonton all over again. We would, every game in the playoffs would be us getting fucking, maybe not blown out because the offense is too good, but yeah, pummeled. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Every game we would have to win 6-5. All right, so last year, at 5-on-5, the Devils were, I believe, top 10 in rush chances against. And they were, I believe, near the top of the league in like goals against on like the rush, which is like where the Devils excel, right? They score a lot of goals on the rush. I think this year we are we were like at the bottom of the league on rush chances against. And I'm not sure what it is for goals against off the rush, but I can tell you what I see on the ice, which is it's not goals against off the rush that are the problem. There's 2 big problems that I'm seeing on the ice, and you can tell me if this is what you're seeing too. Mm-hmm. Aside from let's put aside the defensive issues for a second, right? Even with the high danger chances against, our goalies have absolutely no rebound control whatsoever.
No.
Especially VTech this year.
Yeah.
I have never seen so many pucks squirt out right into the crease.
Yeah.
Where there is usually
someone waiting
for that juicy rebound, and 90% of the time it goes. It's a goal. At least it feels like 90% of the time it ends up in the net. And you couple that with a team that gives up this is the frustrating part. The Devils don't actually give up a lot of shots against per game. Look at the San Jose loss. We lost 6-3. We only give up 18 shots.
Yeah.
Last year, the Devils win that game probably 5 or 6-1 or 2.
Yeah.
Maybe. So you couple really shit goaltending and poor rebound control with a team that is not good at covering the puck in the crease or clearing the puck out of the crease, and a team that has not been particularly good at stopping high danger chances. That's a recipe for disaster. And remember a few weeks ago when we talked about what do you like? Do you fix the goaltending, or do you try to address the goaltending first, or do you try to address the defense first? I think it's pretty clear that the only way you get out of this is first and foremost the goaltending's got to be fixed.
Yeah, the defense has started to become fixed. Obviously, it's still not great.
It's showing signs. Yeah,
it's showing signs of improvement. And Nemec has been looking good he's played 2 games, and I've felt fairly good about him. And obviously we'll go into that a bit more later, but at this point it's the goaltending. And you can't just say it's V, because wasn't Schmid the one in net for San Jose?
No, it was V. Oh no, against San Jose it was, yeah, because he was playing on a back. He played both games on a he played both games of the back-to-back, yeah. Which, I saw a lot of people shitting on that decision, and I think my gut reaction was to do the same. I think even my gut reaction was that I did do the same. But then when I thought about it, I thought, well, what's the alternative? V's been playing like shit. So I kind of understand it. You know what? Schmid had a good game before the San Jose game. He had a pretty good game. He didn't look spectacular, but he looked league average at worst, which is, if we can get, God, I would kill for league average goaltending at this point. Like,
oh yeah,
league average goaltending would to us would feel like fucking prime Marty Brodeur. Yeah, the problem that the Devils are in now is who's available. What team is willing to part with a goalie that would be an improvement for us.
Yeah.
And not just a slight improvement, like we need a major improvement.
And all of the goalies, like we talked about this last time, all of the goalies that are most likely to be traded or most likely to be available seem to be playing pretty well, so no one necessarily wants to get rid of them.
Well, Anaheim has started to fall off a little bit, which is what I figured would happen. So that maybe makes the idea of Gibson being traded a little bit more likely. A few, like a month ago, or even just a few weeks ago, when it looked like Anaheim might at least be, maybe not serious playoff contenders, but could at least make the season fun and interesting for if you were an Anaheim fan. I thought that probably would mean that it was unlikely that they were going to trade Gibson, but maybe still, but I still am not I don't know. The options that are out there are not particular. The realistic, let me rephrase that. The realistic options that are out there are not super attractive. Would be a massive improvement to this team. But, what's the cost? What do you give up?
Yeah.
I'm sure Anaheim is not going to be asking for a pittance, No. But yeah, I think we've crossed the threshold now where it's obvious that to fix this problem, you have to start with the goaltending at this point. I don't think V is going to magically find it at this point. Schmid might eventually, because he's still super young, but this year, I'm not super confident that's going to happen this year. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We haven't gone into the Vancouver game yet, but V played in that, and I have some thoughts on him after that, particularly.
Yeah, I missed most of that game, so that'll be the Georgia rant.
Yeah, so before I talk about V, we'll just quickly go through that game. So we played against Vancouver. We won, barely. Now, the first period you watched with me, we looked good. The period ended and it was 4-2 to New Jersey, and we were like, oh, we got 4 goals. We got the first goal, first of all.
The only thing that sucked the energy out of that a little bit was that goal that they gave up late with 18 seconds left.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man, guys, you guys got to kill the vibe of an awesome period. They were up 4-1. It was like, all right, yeah, the Devils are going to be are going to make a little bit of an angry statement of this game, and then you tell us how that one ended, because it did not end the way it started.
Yeah, so then you went to bed because it was a late game and you were exhausted. So I kept watching because it was mid-afternoon my time. It was perfect time. Second period happened. That looked pretty even. I wasn't I'm very tired lately, so I haven't been able to pay a whole lot of attention to all the details that's going on the ice, but it looked fairly even. We definitely did not look the same we did in the first. The only goal that was scored in that period was Luke's goal on the power play right at the end of the period, and that was pretty cool. That was a good one. Especially because Jack had scored earlier and Luke had scored, and this was the two Hughes brothers against Quinn on the other side.
How many points did they come out of this game combined? It was 6 points altogether. It was 2
6
goals
points
and 4
between
assists.
the 3.
Yeah, between the 3. What an awesome game for the Hughes brothers.
I know. So yeah, we finished the second period and we were up 5-2, and I was like, okay, this is looking okay. The way the Devils have been playing this year,
the goaltending really makes it hard for you to be confident, doesn't it?
I know. I was looking at the 5-2 score going, I don't trust this, but like...
And you were right to not trust it.
Theoretically, a 5-2 game, we should be pretty happy.
Oh, last year, I would have been... I would have been like, well, that's game.
Yeah. And then the third period happened. And they scored 3 goals. Now, it took a while for them to score their 3 goals. The first one was 7 minutes in, and then it was about 14 minutes in, and then 16 and a half minutes into the period. So
another game where the Devils lit up multiple goals in 2-3 minute span.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, another game where you can't necessarily blame it on penalties either, because those 3 goals were scored in 5-on-5.
Mm-hmm.
So they tied it up with 4.5 minutes left, and I was like, 3.5 minutes left, and I was just like, oh, that's it.
Here we go.
We're going
again.
to overtime, or they're going to score again on us, and yeah. And then Bratt came in like a savior, and he scored the winning goal at 19 minutes and 20 seconds into the third period. And of course I was watching that last 30 seconds going, they're going to score on us. They're going to score on us with, V was the goaltender in this game, V-Tech.
Hang on, I just want to say one thing real quick.
Yeah,
I think Bratt really needed this game.
Absolutely.
He had come into this game, it's like 8 goals seven or 8 games, something like that, where he hadn't scored a goal. He had a few assists in there. He wasn't totally pointless, but I think he really needed this game. He had 2 goals in this game. Obviously,
first goal and last goal.
Yep, and obviously the most important being the one to win the game with 40 seconds left. But I think he really needed this game. And I know that Brad has, in the past, he has been a little bit of a streaky player where he'll go through little stretches where he, 5, 6, 7 games where he doesn't score a goal or whatever. But it started to feel like he was a little snake bitten there. And so I think it was really important that he had 2 goals in this game. That was good to see.
Yeah, I feel like he's had a lot of shots. I'd like to look at his stats and see what his shots are like, because I do feel like he does make the shots, or at least he does some pretty good plays and then passes it off to someone else to get the shot. But
the added bonus with him this year is that now that he's had an increased role on the penalty kill, and he's starting to play penalty kill minutes and stuff like that, even when he's not putting up points, as long as he's playing responsible defense, then at least he's still contributing,
Yeah, exactly. So Vitek, he looked pretty good in the first period. He was making all sorts of amazing saves. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say amazing saves,
routine
but timely
saves.
saves.
There you go. Timely saves. That's
timely saves. And I was like, okay, V's doing pretty good. And there was actually one in the second period. Nico made a really bad mistake. It was on, I think, the penalty kill.
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly. I
saw a video on Twitter of this. Yeah.
Yeah, and he instead of passing the puck away and clearing the puck, he was trying to do a bit too much with it. He brought it back into the offensive zone and then tried to get it out of the zone. Sorry, defensive zone. I don't know why I said offensive. And of course they intercepted that and took it, and VTech somehow managed to make the save on that. It was essentially a 2-on-1. Yeah, very timely save from V there. And Nico absolutely knew he'd made a mistake there. But then the third period happened, and he just seems like mentally so overwhelmed.
When I watch him play, it looks like he doesn't enjoy playing hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really sad. I don't know if that's actually the case, but his body language and his mannerisms, especially, and again, I didn't see it live, but I saw a clip of it and a screenshot of it on that tying goal in the Vancouver game, where he had like that 1,000-yard stare, or he just didn't like. I said to you before, I think he's mentally gassed. And he came into this. We talked about this in one of our first episodes, because when we came into the season, they were talking about how he had a new mental coach, and all that, because that was one area that he felt like he needed to improve on. And I guess the Devils probably, I'm sure did too, was the mental side of the game, and that he could get into his own head a little bit. And,
and we definitely saw it last year.
And especially towards the end of the year. And I think a part of that was also too, that he was just tired. It's the most he's ever played in a season.
And he was a big part of that winning streak that we had, and then he had to come down from that and be his real normal self.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, V was a big part of why the Devils were where they were last year. It's unfortunate that he struggled a little bit down the stretch and had a poor performance in the playoffs, but I think we were all pretty hopeful that, with his new mental coach and all of that he would come into this season and again, just league average, really. Like, I don't think anybody was expecting any more than that. I don't think anybody was expecting him to be in contention for the Vezina, But man, I really like Vitek Vanacek, the person.
Yes.
And it hurts me to see him playing so poorly, because I want to see him succeed. Even if he wasn't a Devil, I like him as a person. I would never. It's tough to watch him play, though, and at some point you gotta call it what it is, which is right now he's a pumpkin out there, like and
I think a lot of that is the mental game of it. Like, I don't necessarily think he's the most skilled goalie out there. Obviously not. He'd be probably league average, but the problem is you can see that he's mentally kicking himself.
Yeah, I agree. It's not a physical skill issue. It's a mental issue. I agree.
Yeah. You can see that he's physically kicking himself. You can see it when he gets taken out of the game and Schmid gets put in, and you can see V on the bench and his shoulders are down. You can see it when Schmid's the one playing the game and he's just sitting on the bench anyway. His shoulders are down. He looks depressed. I don't want to speak for him because obviously I don't know the guy, but it's one of those things where his emotions are very clearly written all over his face and body.
Yeah, and I don't know what the solution is. Ordinarily you would say, well, maybe you just eat the fucking cost of the contract, excuse the language, and you send him down to the AHL, regardless of the cap implications, and hope that he can maybe figure it out there, refine, help refine his game, rediscover his game. And I worry that that would just completely, whatever tiny little bit of confidence that he might have left, that might just rip that away.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. I'm not in these meetings with these players. I don't know, but that's what I worry about. But
then every single loss, it seems to be making it worse and worse for him. And obviously he feels a lot of pressure because he's clearly been kind of the starting goalie for this first quarter of the season. And also sorry, I just lost my train of thought, but it's just clearly a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And then the fact that Schmid's not necessarily playing great either as the backup goalie as the alternate goalie.
He's been marginally better He's been the marginally better goalie in a group that is worst in the league. So
yeah, and I can't imagine the amount of pressure it must be to be the goalie for a team like the Devils, where that there's a lot of pressure from the fans, there's a lot of pressure from management going, we've got a lot of talent on our team, we're expected to win. And then to be having the record that you've got this season so far, which is not what was expected.
Yeah, and there's a certain part of it that I do feel that every team needs to be humbled a little bit. And earlier in the season, I did feel like, okay, maybe the Devils came in a little too high on themselves, and okay,
and we did have an amazing season last season that shouldn't have been expected, because obviously we've still got a lot of young players. So we shouldn't have come into this season going, okay, well, we're going to play not as great as last year, but we're still going to play really well. Maybe this is a little bit of reality coming to bite us, but
yeah, I still feel like on paper this team should be in contention for winning the Metro at minimum.
Yeah.
I wish that I could I wish that I had a little matrix playground, right? And I could take the current Devils as they're constructed and how they're playing, keep all things the same, and just put a top 15 goalie in there. Not even like top 10, just like I'll take a Gibson, I'll even take a fucking Allen from Montreal at this point, and just see what that does. All things, everything else the same, just put a better goalie in there. I bet you the Devils probably are solidly in a playoff spot right now.
Yeah.
Are they, first in the Metro? No, probably not. The Rangers are probably still first in the Metro. I could still see them probably being second or third.
I could see third. Maybe not second. I could see third. I'm only saying maybe not second because, yes, goaltending's been bad, but also the defense up until recently has been pretty bad. And even if we had an amazing goaltender, I feel like they'd still let things past given the state of the defense some of the games that we've seen.
The Devils would still, don't get me wrong, the Devils would still be probably middle of the pack at best in goals. If you're just looking at like goals against, just because of the high danger chances that the quality the quality when you're playing the Devils, it's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
The Devils don't give you a lot of shots, but the shots that they're going to give you are going to be really good chances. But I still think a good goalie probably saves 50% more of those goals that have been scored on us. So I mean, just take 50% of the goals that could be attributed to shit goaltending away. We probably have 4 more wins at least.
Yeah,
I feel like. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to spend too long on goaltending. We all know it's bad. And maybe next week, if nothing has changed between this week and next week, maybe we can spend some time taking a serious look at maybe what the Devils' options could be at goaltending. I feel like we've kind of like touched on the subject. We haven't really actually gone in depth into it. So
there's some other things aside from goaltending that we've also noticed that have been issues just in terms of the people in front of the net that aren't goaltending. We've taken a lot of what feels like a lot of too many men penalties in particular. Like penalties, yes, we've taken a lot of, but we've taken quite a few too many men penalties.
Well, in the last 7 games, they've taken 5. Or, sorry,
I think that stat was from a little while back when I first wrote this.
Well, I added 2 games to that because at that point it was 5.
Okay.
And we played 7. Sorry, I read it wrong. So just penalties in general, as we've touched on before, in the last 7 games, the Devils are like 71% on the penalty kill, which is not good. I don't know exactly how many too many men penalties they've taken, but I feel like we're probably top 10 of the league right now. It feels like it. And I pulled apart the too many men ones because that we've talked about it. It's like the most avoidable penalty to take. That and delay a game. Yep, those are my 2 biggest pet peeve penalties. Are delay of game and too many men. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of penalties is killing us because our penalty kill is not good. And I would love to see the stats of just how many of the goals scored against us have been on the penalty. Now, like I said, the last couple of games, a lot of them haven't been on the penalty. Our penalty kill's been looking better.
It's been looking okay.
But, yeah. There's also been a lot of odd man rushes against us.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, I'm pretty sure the Devils lead the league in that. I read a stat earlier that the Devils have given up the most odd man rushes of any team in the league. So that's not good. I do wonder how much of that is a system issue. I understand that there is an aspect of it that Siegs, to a lesser extent Marino, but still Marino does get some blame for this, that Siegs and Marino at times this season have been pumpkins on the ice. And, like I said, Marino to a lesser extent because he's had some really good games and he's also had some really awful games. Seeks has been kind of more consistently not great.
Yeah.
I do still wonder, though, how much of it is a system issue. I hesitate, though, because the system is still largely the same, just sans Damon Severson and Ryan Graves. So I can tell you, you know what I really miss? Speaking of Damon Severson, I want to bring him up for a second. God, do I miss his stretch passes.
Yeah.
His stretch passes were money. Like, more times than not, they were right on the tape. And I can't tell you how many breakaways the Devils had last year as a result of a Damon Severson stretch pass.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Without him, what we've been seeing is a lot of those stretch passes have been going not to the stick. They've been going to the skates. They've been completely missing the play altogether. Or they've been icing.
Yeah.
Or they've been icing. Or other teams know that that's what we're going to do, and they just position themselves perfectly, get in the way, and take it.
Our other biggest problems in the neutral zone seems to be, if Jack is not on the ice, there seems to be, I still feel like there's like a weird, and again, I'm not going to say that the offense is a problem, because the Devils are scoring plenty of goals. I don't think the goal scoring is a problem. I don't think any Devils fan is alarmed by how the offense is performing in terms of the quantity of goals scored for the most part. But there just still seems to be like, the communication breakdowns still seem to be there. There are a lot of neutral zone shifts that break down this year that I feel like didn't break down last year. And I don't know if I can pinpoint what it is that's causing it, because again, a lot of the roster is largely the same. There were definitely some people that we've lost. Sharon Govich, Ryan Graves, Damon Severson, Miles Wood. Those are the big ones, I think. I'm right. I'm not forgetting anybody else major.
Tatar.
Tatar and Zetterlund as well. But as much as I love Zetterlund, I mean, let's be real. He was bottom six forward.
Meanwhile, he seems to be
high
doing
energy.
Okay.
No, and don't get me wrong. I don't mean to I'm not shitting on him at all. I loved Zetterlund. I hated to see him go. He's a really high energy bottom six forward. But losing him, I don't think is the difference between the Devils making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. But like the core pieces are still there. Are still all there. And now Timo, if you include Timo in that core, like now he's had a full off season with the team, and unfortunately he's been a little unlucky with the injuries this year as well too, which was a shame, because I feel like he got hurt right as he was starting to find his groove.
Yeah.
He had 5 points in 4 games or something like that, and he was starting to look like, okay, he's starting to find his groove, and then he got hurt. It's like, damn it, it's injuries.
Yeah, and then other stuff that we've been noticing happening, or what, at least it feels like it from my side of things, it just feels like there's a lot of times when everyone just seems to be crowding in front of the net and not actually doing anything. They're puck watching. You talk about it a lot too. They're puck watching.
Drives me fucking crazy, man. I can't stand it. I bitch about it almost every game. I'm like, they're doing it again. They're just watching the puck again.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. When that's happening, and it's often on the penalty kill, but even when we're not on the penalty kill, and they have possession, it just feels like no one's necessarily doing anything to try and take the puck away from them, and they're just passing it, the offense is just passing it back and forth, and we're just sitting there waiting for them to take a shot. Then the shots come through.
The Devils don't put any point pressure on the penalty kill. Yeah. They very rarely will the Devils send one of the forwards that's out there on the penalty kill up to pressure, to put true pressure on at the blue line, to maybe force, the
last time I truly noticed that?
What? When?
In this last game when Mikey lost his stick and he actually went up and tried to take the puck off one of them.
Well, to be fair,
without his stick.
That did result in a goal eventually, but that's not Mikey's fault, of course.
It did result in a goal, and obviously it sucked that he didn't have a stick because that could have played out very differently. But I was like, Mikey's actually going for it. And I know he kind of had to because he didn't have a stick to be able to wave around to try and maybe intercept the passes. He had to go up and get it. But
yeah,
like, at least he went up and put pressure on them for a second.
Nico is really the only player that I see consistently doing that.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating. I don't know if it's a system thing. I don't know what it is. I feel like the Devils did the same thing last year, but they were smarter about their positioning. Because I did notice, even though the Devils had a really good penalty kill last year, and you heard me say this numerous occasions, even though their penalty kill was pretty good, it was still kind of frustrating to watch at times. So I'd be like, come on, guys. Like, I feel like you guys should have cleared this puck by now. But this year, it's exasperated by the fact that the defense is not as well-rounded as it was last year. Now we've got two essentially 19-year-old rookies in very prominent roles on the defense now. Yeah, there's no blue line pressure. And like you alluded to as well, when there's a net front scramble, I feel like the Devils are like shell shocked. Like,
yeah,
there was I don't remember if it was the San Jose game or if it was the Islanders game, but there was a sequence in front of the net where both Nico and I want to say it was Marino failed to clear a puck. Like, they just flat out just whiffed on it. And, like, you never see that out of Nico. And it's just like this team. I feel like this team is just snake bitten. Like, last year, the team was snake bitten. Like, certain players were snake bitten. Like, poor Haller to start the season. I felt like couldn't buy a goal to save his life. But it feels like the whole team is snake bitten when it comes to clearing the zone when the puck is in a dangerous spot.
Yeah, and I feel like the communication is also not necessarily good. Like, you'll see multiple players
spend a lot of breakdowns.
They'll go and try and get the puck off one person, and three of them will go and try and get that puck at the same time, and they'll get in each other's way, and so none of them will be able to do it efficiently. Meanwhile, the puck gets passed to one of the other four players on the ice that is free, and then the goaltender's left to try and defend it on his own, and because our goaltenders are not playing particularly well, of course that goes in. Mm-hmm. And it just feels like that communication isn't there. Like, multiple people are going to try and are going on focusing on one person, and then leaves everyone else clear.
It's like a negative feedback loop. The defense plays chaotic because they can't trust the goaltender. The goaltender doesn't play well. Doesn't play well as a result because they give up too many chances or high danger chances. That they're already not playing well, so their confidence is shot. So their ability to make those timely saves is already reduced, and rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like we've been talking a lot of negative stuff.
I know. I was just
and obviously there is a lot of negativity to talk about, and things that we want to say that we've been noticing is what's happening. But what has been going well for the Devils? Because, like you said, we've won 4 out of the last 5 games.
Yep.
So
4-1 in the last 5.
Things are getting a little better.
A little bit better, even though we're scratching by the skin of our teeth, you know. But I thought Luke has been pretty good for the most part. Again, he's had a couple of bad giveaways here and there, but nothing to indicate that nothing that should be too terribly alarming. I thought the Colin Miller's been really solid. Nothing spectacular, not flashy, but we don't need flashy defensemen. That's what Luke is there for. That's what Dougie is there for. We don't need flashy defensemen. We need steady, reliable defensemen. And I think that the Luke and Miller pairing specifically has been really good. I have no idea why Lindy put them together. They had a great game, and then he took them apart. And then surprisingly, the defense went to shit again. And so he put them back together. And it was like,
Yeah.
I don't understand why he took him apart in the first place, but okay, whatever, Lindy. With that being said, so yeah, I thought Luke and Miller together have been good. Nemec, it's been 2 games, and I don't want to overreact, but I think that he has injected something into that decor that we probably could have used to start the season. And I know hindsight is 2020, and again, it's been 2 games. Who knows? But
yeah,
in the 2 games that I have seen so far from Nemec, he has been fabulous for a 19-year-old rookie defenseman. I think that he has looked better in his first couple of games than Luke looked in his first couple of games.
Absolutely.
He has been really aggressive with sending pucks on net, which is nice to see. He has been really aggressive on D. I felt like he has taken some chances at times. And there will be times that bites him in the ass, of course. But I thought he's been physical and aggressive on the puck. I thought he's been really well positioned. He's played smart and aggressive at the same time. He has not played reckless hockey.
Yeah.
And I really hope that this is a sign that he is going to force the Devil's hand, and he has played his last game in the AHL, and that like this is him taking the job and running away with it, you know?
Yeah. I just had to look at what I said to you last night after you had left, because what I was watching was Nemec, and I said to you, I feel like I'm not watching a rookie. And that's not me saying it feels like he's a veteran who knows what he's doing all the time and that he's not making mistakes. He has made some mistakes. But there hasn't been any moments where I've felt like, oh God, Nemec has the puck.
You don't get nervous. No. Yeah, you don't get nervous.
I don't get nervous.
Yeah.
He has the puck and I'm like, cool, yeah, I trust him with that. You know?
Or even more so, you don't get nervous when he doesn't have the puck.
Yeah.
As a defenseman, you know, that's arguably even more important.
Yeah, I've been impressed with his physicality and the fact that he hasn't been afraid to get in there and play the defense, which obviously is his job. But, like, you know, I feel like he has been looking pretty good. And again, it's only been 2 games. Don't know what's going to happen going forward because you never know. He feels young, but he doesn't feel like a rookie in my brain.
No, he doesn't look like one out there. And now, of course, I'm sure he's going to have a stretch where he's not playing his best hockey, or he's struggling a little bit, and that's okay. Like that's going to happen, and
it's probably going to happen in a couple of weeks when he's been hopefully playing for a couple of weeks and maybe gets a little bit tired because he's not used to playing NHL hockey for that long, you know?
Yeah, I mean. He's not going to play like a superstar every single game out of the gate. You know, like it's just not going to happen. But what we've seen from him so far is solid, stable, smart defense. And that is all I want. That's what we need. That's all I want, and that's exactly what we need. Exactly.
That's exactly what we need, yeah.
So
I'm glad that he got called up. I'm sad that the reason he got called up was because we have Hamilton out indefinitely and Smith was...
Yeah, I feel like we should mention that.
Yeah.
Dougie's injury. So he sustained that injury against, was it the Islander? Was it the Islander game?
I can't remember.
But yeah, either way, he is going to be out for probably at least a few months. What was his injury exactly again? It was a torn pectoral. Torn pectoral, yeah. So, my guess is probably at least 3 months. I don't know the severity of it. I'm assuming it's not so severe that he tore it off the bone like Cody Rhodes did, which is just a horrible thought. But so I can't imagine that he. You know, I would like to think that he's probably going to be back at the end of the season and maybe in time for the playoffs, hopefully, assuming the Devils make the playoffs.
Hopefully.
But yeah, we're gonna miss Dougie. He brings a lot. I know that he gets criticized a lot for his defensive play or lack thereof, and I'm one of those people that does criticize
as he
him.
should.
As he should.
As he should.
But he brings he is integral to this team's offensive potency. He is a very important part of this team's power play. He's very important to the team's ability to drive play into the offensive zone and create opportunities from from the point, from the blue line.
It does feel like Luke has managed to step into those shoes fairly well, though.
Well, I said to you the other day, I said if Luke can be half as good offensively as Dougie is and be better defensively, I think that's still a win at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Dougie not being on the team is a loss, and you can't just replace his production. But
yeah. Also, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
No, I was just gonna say that's all I was gonna say. If either Luke and or Nemec, I guess the more appropriate comparison in this situation would be Nemec, because technically he's the one that's taking Dougie's spot. But if Nemec can be not even half, let's say a quarter as good offensively, but much more sound defensively, I think we're in okay shape.
Yeah.
All things considered, there are teams out there that would be in much worse shape if that is the case with Nemec. There are teams out there that would be in much worse shape to lose a guy like Dougie. So
yeah,
wishful thinking, but I try to stay positive.
Yeah, and what I was going to say as well is more than just on ice as well. Not having Dougie on the team, he is an integral part of the team. He always seems like kind of the dad of the team in terms of how he supports the young guys and celebrates them and all of that sort of stuff. And I do feel like that's missing.
Yeah, I love Dougie's personality. Yeah, I'm going to miss it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he'll be back.
It was funny earlier when we were messaging and talking about VTech particularly. I said, I feel like VTech needs a hug.
I said a Dougie hug, yeah.
I said, I think VTech needs a mama bear hug. And you said, what about a Dougie hug?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think Dougie is going to be able to hug very well with a torn pectoral muscle.
To the chamber with you. How dare you?
I know. The other good news about things that have been happening, Nico, as we said, is back. Holla is back. Timo is back. It seems like the main core of the team is back.
The forward group is finally mostly healthy, with the exception of Nosek and actually I think he's the only one. Yeah,
he's the only one. So the only two that are currently on injured and are on IR, Dougie and Nosek, and Nosek, apparently it was announced that he's out indefinitely because he had foot surgery.
He re-aggravated his foot injury from training camp or whenever it was, yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah, it's unfortunate
both him and Dougie are indefinite.
And actually, honestly, not having a guy like Nosek is might hurt more than people realize, because I know that he really only played a handful of games for us, but he's a great penalty killer, and that's one of the areas that we're kind of struggling in a little bit, is the penalty kill. So I mean, we'll see if like Nemec or either can step up or other guys can start to improve their play a little bit there. But we'll miss him on the penalty kill for sure. On the, I guess, some final little notes here of things that happened while we were on a little bit of a hiatus there was, we talked a little bit about Zadorov potentially being a trade target for the Devils in our last episode, and that is not going to happen because he was traded to Vancouver this last week. And he is on an expiring contract, so they only gave up I think it was a 3rd round pick and a 5th round pick. I think it was like a 5th round pick this year and a 3rd round pick in 2026 or something like that. But the big thing for Vancouver was they were able to take him on without requiring Calgary to retain any money on his contract. Whereas teams like Toronto and the Devils were going to need Calgary to retain money on the contract, which ups the price. So I think at the end of the day, it was just a more attractive trade for them. So Zadorov is off the table for now, and Tanev is still there, so he's still maybe a defensive trade target at some point. We'll see. But I think I would like the Devils to maybe figure out the goaltending first at this point, because yeah, that's the major problem. So well, boy, I feel like that was a marathon.
I know it's only an hour 10, but feels a little longer.
It's just been a lot. Yeah, it's been a lot of things that have happened since we have last recorded. So
yeah, and we promise from now on we will be regular. Now we're back on schedule. We're recorded on our usual day, so it makes sense we'll be recording on our usual day next week, and therefore on and on.
The exception being Christmas, obviously, is probably gonna. We'll probably have to adjust our schedule a little bit for that, but we'll let you know about that maybe next week. Once Georgia and I have had an opportunity.
It depends, though, because we usually record on a My Day Thursday, and that'll only be the 21st of December, so might be okay.
Yeah, it might be okay then. That's true. Okay, well, I guess that just leaves us with this week's Guess That Devil, and maybe this will be one that I get. Maybe this will be one that I'm not confident in, but then I get right.
No, I think you probably know this one, mostly just because of the draft position, if that makes sense.
Okay, hit me with it.
Because you think you're pretty good with the draft positions if they're up there. So this Devil was drafted 2nd overall by the New Jersey Devils in 1987 and played 5 seasons total with the Devils throughout his career. He was known for his goal-scoring ability, and at one point led the NHL in shorthanded goals, and at another point led in power play goals.
Yeah, you're right. I know who this is.
Yeah.
And I actually know who this is this time. I'm not, falsely confident.
Yeah, I figured you would. Again, it's a first-round pick, 2nd overall pick, so probably pretty obvious who it was, but I'm trying to switch it up between the more obvious and the less obvious.
All right, well, if any of you would like to submit your answer, you can tweet at us once Georgia puts out the tweet. We would prefer a picture of the person, but if you just
which is always funny because it's always funny because I don't necessarily know what they look like, so I just look at the picture and go, maybe.
Yeah, just do a reverse Google image search.
That's a New Jersey Devil.
Just do a reverse Google image search; she'll be all right.
I did that last time.
But yeah, if you just want to tweet the name, that's fine too. Or you can email it to us at devilsdownunderpodcast@gmail.com. And you can be found on Twitter at DDU_pod and other social medias that we do not currently use, but we'll probably use in the future by searching for Devils Down Under or Devils Down Under Podcast. We should be one of the first that come up, despite our lack of engagement elsewhere. But we will figure out a use for all those at some point. We keep saying it, but trust me, it'll happen. Maybe it'll be a New Year's resolution.
New Year's revolution.
Yes, a revolution against Gary Bettman. I don't know.
Hey, look, you're maybe going to come and visit me in New Zealand sometime next year. So maybe that episode when you're here could be a video one.
Oh yeah, we could that could be a thing. We could probably make that happen.
Yeah, we'll see.
More to come. All right, everybody. We appreciate you guys so much, especially those that have stuck around and haven't been like, oh my God, these guys haven't put out an episode in 3 weeks. I'm done. So we appreciate you so much. And we will be much more consistent going forward. I know we said that a couple weeks ago, but we're going to stick to it, and we will be more consistent going forward, like I said, with a few exceptions like holidays and stuff like that. But yeah. So we will talk to you guys. Well, I guess we won't talk to you, but you will hear from us again.